Ladies and gentlemen, before we call it the end of the session, we have amongst us, I'll just take 5 minutes more of yours, please. Just be patient. We have Professor Shashi Sharma, Professor and Chair of Biosecurity and Food Security, Murdoch University, Australia. And he has also been actively involved with the government regulatory affairs. Professor Shashi Sharma, please.
Thank you, Vipin. Thank you for the invite, and I have greatly appreciated attending so many good lectures, and it's been a great learning for me as well. My name is Shashi Sharma, and I just can you hear me well? And I just wanted to share with you my some of the current roles that may be relevant to BASAI and the participants here. One role that I have is a member of a Biosecurity Council, a council which advises the minister and the government in Western Australia. Another role that I have currently is the founder chair for World Bioprotection Research Foundation, which is working on microbiome and also biologicals. It's a global one, and that has relevance to this one. And third, I thought would be of relevance to you is primarily my role that had been as a director of plant biosecurity earlier as a regulator. How to have for example, biologicals, one of the major obstacles that you have is their registration, is to how to get the regulator's mindset. And I would like to share that one in 2 minutes. One is that when you're talking to a regulator is a person who is a public servant. And the regulator is looking at from the perspective, is risk averse. The moment there is lack of information, the regulator is going to say no. So if biologicals are to be there, then you got to work with the regulators. And as a regulator, what we are advising is the role is changing. The regulator has to see himself or herself as enabler. And to be enabler, it's very important that the enabler is confident that whatever you're signing, you're confident it is not going to ever be adverse to the public or to the environment. So the changing role of the regulator, industry must help. Rather than your approach, the regulator is not working, the system is not working, it is never going to work. So as to how to work with the regulator, and that is where how to make the regulator to be enabler, that you need to work it out. And that is happening in most countries. Another thing I wanted to say is that when I entered, and there were so many talks on biopesticides, and I have written about it, is why would you like to call a useful organism as a pesticide? When the community is telling us that, look, we don't want pesticides. I can understand a chemical pesticide company having one biological. They say, oh, that's a chemical one, that's a biological biopesticide. But not us. So we have to find a new term. If you want to have biologicals to have their niche, first of all, you have to say that they are bioprotectants. So here is a body here. You should talk about bioprotectants rather than biopesticides. The change of terminology is very important. And secondly, the registration process is going to be very different to what you think always, because we have taken chemical pesticide as a benchmark. No, that's not going to work. You're going to work with living organisms and their products compared to non-living organisms, the products. So it's a very different one. So unless you come up with the understanding that this is a novel thing you're doing, and you base it always on the basis of your chemical pesticide, it's not going to work very well. It's going to take a longer time than you expect. Another thing which is extremely important is that as a regulator, when you're working with living organisms, and if you think they're going to do it international business immediately, it's not going to work. So you have to give some time for biologicals to be internationally, being used as a market. As for chemical pesticide we are used to. We have to develop local markets first, and I would say work very local markets rather than even national markets. And there's one more thing which is important for all of us is to, and there was one speaker here, and I have my own thoughts. He was a regulator, I thought, who was saying that it is going to take a long time for biologicals to come up. And I say the 21st century is the century of biologicals. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you all the speakers for a wonderful talk. I hope everybody was enlightened by it.